So, lately, whenever I cast this Zerg player, he's called me out and he said that apparently I only ever upload videos of him losing. Today, we have none other than Reynor going up against the highest ranked Protoss in the world. I hope for Reynor's sake that he ends up winning this best of 3 series. Playing with the red Protoss pieces in the opposite corner of Alcyone, we're looking at none other than MaxPax's main Nexus. Now, according to MaxPax himself, his Protoss versus Zerg is his worst matchup. I think that mostly just speaks volumes to how good his Protoss versus Protoss and Protoss versus Terran are, because his PvC is still ridiculous, but at the very least MaxPax has been saying that he hasn't really been improving much in his matchup, and at least he doesn't seem nearly as confident in this matchup than he does in the others. Anyways, pro gamers in general though, you never really can take their words. The thing is, right, they're always joking around a lot, and it's very difficult to say whether or not they're actually being serious or if they're just trying to like lull the opposition into a false sense of security. Maybe not so much with MaxPax. I think MaxPax is pretty straightforward with those sorts of things, but I know in general, he doesn't seem to be as happy with his Protoss versus Zerg as maybe with some of the other matchups. Anyways, it looks like we've got ourselves a hatchery first right here for Reynor. No 15 hatch. Instead, he's been opting to go for the 3rd base as his very first expansion, but of course you will be able to connect the bases with creep in just a moment. The main downside of getting your natural blocked is the fact that, well, if you go up against, for example, an adept push, so if MaxPax decides to go into a Twilight Council here, that could be quite annoying. It is an adept together with a Warp Gate research. We may very well see a Twilight Council opener. Not very popular. Most of the time, it should be a Stargate, yeah. He decides to cancel the Warp Gate research right there, which is 50 gas, to get himself up to 150 gas, which is what he needs to start up the Stargate. Or, star up the Stargate? Okay. Anyways, Overlord does see this, of course. Reynor certainly is going to be double-checking that research. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book. Start up the upgrade, cancel the upgrade, and then restart the upgrade when you do have the 50 additional gas that you are looking for. Starring up the start gate. There you go. You can print that on a mug. Head on over to www.loko.shop. I don't have that mug. Yet. Maybe I should. I would actually love to do some more merchandising in general. If you have some cool phrases that I frequently say in my videos that you think would be cool to print on a shirt or on a mug, let me know down below in the comment section. There's gotta be some stuff that I'm just not thinking of. I've got a feeling I do know that I fall back into my phrases quite frequently. I've been working on that over the last couple of years, but there's no denying that, for example, there's no denying that is something I say a whole lot. Although that may not be necessarily unique to what I do, but there's gotta be some stuff. Let me know down below in the comment section. Anyways, we do have an amazing GLHF GG mug, though, that you can go ahead and pick up from the shop. Easy way to support this channel. Anyways, it is going to be a double Oracle for now. Could be triple Oracle. I think triple Oracle is very strong. The Adepts are still out on the map. That does make that 3rd base a little bit dicey to defend, but it looks like Reynor did not really produce a lot of Zerglings to go for a big counter-offensive. Yeah, he's keeping these links over here. Are we going to recall it? Probably not, right? No, I think we're just going to kill whatever we can, and you know what? Yeah, with the Oracle joining in, we don't even really need to bother with that. No, we can just keep him around here and harass a little bit more. Ultimately, though, I've got a feeling that these Adepts are not going to be able to make it home. Oh, they will! Alright. Queen's in the main base, tasked with keeping these drones alive, and so far it is 2 workers going down, which is really nothing to write home about here, but it's also not necessarily been perfect right here for Reynor, right? I mean, 9 Zerglings and 2 drones is nothing you're really too upset about, especially when you've skipped the Spore Crawler in the main base, and we're only just now going for a Spore over here. He's got to be happy about that, but it is always nice to see Protoss getting away with such an amount of greed, super quick 3rd base, and just not losing any units yet in the process. There's the Twilight Council together with the Forge. He has warped in a lot of additional Adepts, yeah, so it's now 5 Adepts in total, which Zerg certainly needs to respect. Glaive's upgrade or not, you can't really just let these units shade by, and at this point, I think this may be the first time that Reynor sees it. These Adepts can actually put in quite a bit of work. Links do start up, we're gonna have about 20 of them in total. Obviously though, when Zerg at this point is making Zerglings, that also means that he is not making drones. Okay. Revelations here on the creep tumors. This one will stay alive for now. Oracle's trying to deal with as many of these links as possible. Adepts in the meantime, shade towards the back of the net. I mean, MaxPax. This guy really is the real deal. I love how... I don't know, I'm gonna call it elegant. That's the word that comes to mind, okay? He's like a ballerina over here. With the way that he's controlling his units. There's obviously a certain point where you might want to sacrifice a bunch of stuff. But especially the Oracle control and just the maneuvering around the map and using all of the little bits of terrain. It really is quite pretty. Either that or I've watched too much StarCraft 2 and this is like next level nerdiness. Blink together with the +1 ground weapons right now. Coming up for MaxPax. So he is going to be making that transition towards Stalkers. This is the gold standard. And really, that is what we can expect from MaxPax. If you are looking to get better at playing Protoss in general, I think MaxPax is actually one of the very best Protoss players to study. I understand what he does is very high level and it may be very difficult to replicate, but he will generally go for the same strategies over and over and over again. There is basically no randomness. There is as little chaos as possible in the way that he approaches the game. Reynor, for example, can play a little bit more sporadic. Same can be said for Zergs, like for example Dark, right? Where you can't really figure out any build orders. Deep dive right there from this guy. 8 confirmed kills though on that Oracle. Not bad whatsoever. Alrighty, in the meantime, Reynor has decided to go for the lair. Now we're going straight into an infestation pit. +1 melee is finishing up, but it is roaches here on the back of it too. So the +1 melee is amazing, especially against Blink Stalker openers. It can fall flat on its face against other varieties, different flavors of Protoss, but against the Blink Stalkers, the +1 melee Zerglings are very, very handy, and it decides to fire it straight into 2-2 research as well. Golden minerals, at least attempted here by Reynor. It's going to be difficult to achieve. Reynor thinking about setting up a wraparound, but that is an awful lot of Stalkers. Yeah, we're talking 17 Stalkers and 35 Zerglings. You're gonna need a lot more here as the Zerg player to clean up all of these units. These 2 sentries are actually kind of cute. Not normally what we see, but that is gonna give him some real, well, force field potential. 1 Stalker on the Watchtower is not gonna live to say that, or to... she's not gonna live to see another day, but ultimately though, the hatchery over here falls, and that looks to me like a kill. Yeah, no cancel right there by Reynor. So still a very cost-efficient game here by MaxPax, who's now going to go for a 4th base over at the 8-minute mark. This recall will get cancelled. Apparently the Biles getting a little bit too close for MaxPax's liking. I haven't actually seen that many MaxPax games lately. I guess it's because of Katowice and, well, the GSL replays and all the rest of it. There have been quite a few games floating around on the internet, but MaxPax, as you probably know by now, only plays online events. And well, he didn't participate in either the GSL or REM. I would have liked to see him. I would have liked to see him play, but sadly not the case. He's been dominating most of the online cups though. I've been focusing on some of the bigger tournaments because I think overall those are more interesting. So this particular series is from the ESL Open Cup 216 for the European server. And MaxPax has been doing very well in this particular event for a long time now. Beautiful movement here by the Zerg. Very good movement as well, though, by the Protoss. Love the stasis wards. Love the aggressive positioning. That 4th base is going to go up pretty much uncontested. And I think that is essentially what MaxPax is trying to achieve. Good force field here as well. Slows down a bunch of stuff. It will get popped in the end, but... already, though, on the horizon, we've got ourselves an Ultralisk cavern. +1 melee, +2... or, sorry, +1 carapace. I have a way with words today. +1 carapace, there you go. +2 melee and adrenal glands, as well as the good old roly-poly upgrade. Big stasis ward apparently did connect in the meantime while we were looking inside of the base of the Zerg. It's just a bunch of links though. So even if you do end up losing these, not that big of a deal. A bunch of probes apparently end up falling against a random group of banelings. Yeah, they're just walking in from that left side of this 3rd base. Ultralisks. Interesting unit choice right here by Reynor. This really is an Ultralisk rush. Because we're 10 minutes into the game. He's at 90 workers, 91 workers, which is a very respectable worker count. But ultimately, he's going Lingbane Ultra against a Protoss player. It's a unit composition that is not very popular. However, it's been gaining a bit of traction as of late. One of the reasons why this unit comp sort of works is if you manage to go for some neural parasites against the opponent's Immortals. So Immortals are the real scary unit right here for Reynor. The Zerglings and the Banelings are dealt with relatively easily, especially now that Storm is part of the Protoss unit comp as well. But it's the Immortals that we have to be very careful about, because the Ultralisk just get popped. If the Immortals decide to turn their guns onto the Ultralisks, they just kill them in a second or two. Zergling run by, attempted over here. Alright, well, it is going to be successful as well, because Banelings were brought to the front. This was not a hero run by, and this is still going to get very costly. One Immortal, sadly, gets rallied straight into all of this. Big warping in the main base of Zealots is at the very least going to prevent some of this. But ultimately, yeah, cancel, no cancel. Kill right there on the Nexus. We have Zealots going to town as well. Brenda ends up falling. This hatchery on the right side also in a bit of trouble. But that is 19 workers going down in just a heartbeat. If we can at least kill this base, yeah, you will get the cancel on it. I think MaxPax is alright. Remaking workers when you have this many Nexi is not really that big of a deal, especially when you decide to chrono them, although he probably doesn't necessarily need to. That was, of course, also quite the commitment there from Reynor. Because blowing up a wall with Banelings, believe it or not very cheap. Every Baneling is 50 minerals and 25 gas each. So it adds up pretty quickly. Obviously, though, we saw him sitting at over 90 drones not that long ago, so Reynor can afford most of this. The spine crawlers over there being very annoying. I'm a little concerned about the Ultralisk situation. So he's been going for a Viper. I think maybe, no. Just a single Viper for now. No infestors at all, so no neurals. Ultras, though, yeah, if they're just fighting straight up Stalkers, they should be good. Okay, Storms over there, dealing some damage. More Storms. Lovely bit of control right here by MaxPax. Yeah, I'm turning into such a MaxPax fanboy. I think 2024 is the year where I, like, properly turn into a MaxPax fanboy. I've been a Reynor fanboy for a long time. But it's been brewing for a while, you know? Like, I have been genuinely very impressed with the way that MaxPax is playing. This has been a proper high-level game, you know? Like, not a lot of Protoss players will be able to go toe-to-toe with Reynor at all. Reynor is ridiculously fast. Look at that, 670 average actions per minute. Like, what in the world is that? And just with the sheer amount of multitasking, it is very easy to lose. But I love that in the middle of that run-by, MaxPax decided to start up a Zealot push as well on the right side of the map. Those are the sorts of things that strategically make a lot of sense, but APM-wise can sometimes be a bit of a limitation. Yeah, I don't know if I like the... I don't think I love the Ultras here. The Ultras have not achieved too much. On the back of this, though, we did have a Greater Spire. Yeah, and at this point, that one is done. Corruptors are coming. Although obviously against Brute Lords, Stalkers are pretty good, Storm is pretty good, we've got ourselves a bunch of Archons. This is a very playable game here for MaxPax. Here's another run-by though, and that wall was never rebuilt. Instead, we have one Photon Cannon tasked with defending an entire mineral line against +3 Adrenal-glanced Zerglings. Another random Immortal ends up going down, but rather than defending at home, MaxPax decides to push forward. He's smelling that Ultras are gonna be supplemented with other units here in the near future, be it Infestors, be it Brute Lords, and he catches Reynor in the middle of that transition. We do indeed have Brute Lords right now coming up, but this is a brilliant little attack if it wasn't for all of those Zerglings in the main base. Zealots will ultimately be able to clear all of this out, but that is once more tons of probes going down. Still, MaxPax killing another base here would be amazing for him. He is also expanding on the left side of the map, but he decides to cancel that, probably in favor of additional reinforcements. And, well, there we finally have a Fungal. There we finally have the Brute Lords. Brute Lords, gotta be so careful, but good control right there by Reynor. Pulls them back just barely in the nick of time. These Lingbane run-bys, though, they have been absolutely on the money. We have another Lingbane run-by over here, or actually just a bunch of Zerglings. Gold base not yet acquired. And MaxPax is starting to be a little starved for minerals. Yeah. He's doing a good job keeping the Zerg player contained as well, so Reynor at this point pushed back all the way until just 4 hatcheries. And obviously 15 minutes into the game, those bases, the majority of them are going to be running low. It is double Spire right here for Reynor, so he is planning on definitely committing to more and more of those Brute Lords. Split up right here of the Protoss army. Half of it is going to the left, the other half is going towards the right. Okay, Ling Bane run by once again at the bottom of the map. 9 additional probes end up going down. MaxPax has sort of stopped making workers here for a little while though. Mostly also because he's maxed out. He's MaxPax out. Anyways, Zerg army. Trying to get a grip on where this unit composition is gonna go. Broodlords right now do spot that they are needed on the left side of the map. That's 2 Ultralisks going down, a 3rd Ultra. Dude, these Ultras are popping like flies. I like how they were ultimately just a stepping stone though. This is enough Broodlords to properly deflect his army. In the meantime, by the way, we had another Baneling run by at the bottom of the map, killing 17 additional probes. Only 32 workers right now remain for MaxPax. Then again, 21 workers were also killed by the Protoss player, so it's not like the Zerg economy really is anything to write home about. Even though the Ultras have been getting destroyed, Reynor right now is going to double down on the Ultralisk tech, assuming that his opponent is going to try and double down on the Broodlord counter. A beautiful dance of armies. Probes are being rebuilt. I think drones probably should be coming up as well. I love the decision making here from MaxPax though, really cool. Like those Ling Bane run-bys, I mean, they are Reynor's bread and butter. If it wasn't for those, MaxPax would be dominating this game. Instead right now though, I like this position quite a bit better for Reynor. Because he's killed the economy of the Protoss repeatedly, and MaxPax has not been quite as quick with rebuilding his worker count, he is starting to be in a pretty dicey position. He decides to go for the gold base. I think that makes a lot of sense. Hatchery on the right side of the map does get cancelled. The Zealots also, will end up getting cancelled. Push over here on the left side of the map, not quite as successful because the Immortals are trailing a little bit behind. Fungal growth makes it difficult for these units to achieve much. We have an hallucinated Archon, but ultimately, got a feeling, oh my god, this is such a tidy fight. If those Immortals were here right when that fight began, I think MaxPax would have won the engagement. But since the Immortals and a bunch of the other units, I think it was the High Templar, they trailed behind just a tad too far. It's Reynor who ends up killing that army. And that's a costly one. In the meantime though, we have had a transition. Stargates are producing a bunch of Tempest. So Tempest, of course, with their range, are very, very good against Broodlords in particular. But of course, that also means that Corruptors can become a lot more handy, right? Corruptors together with Vipers, super powerful if you can land some fungal growths as well. There's a ton of potential here in Reynor's army. Okay, so both players decide to breathe for just a little bit. Mama Ship is coming up. Okay, so despite the fact that this is a low eco game, and a lot of players don't consider the Mothership to be particularly valuable, if MaxPax is playing it, I think that's a decent enough sign for us that it may not be that bad of a unit after all. I actually think it's very undervalued. I think it's very, very fun. Anyways, this is the first time, I believe, that he sees the Tempest. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that Zerg army may very well need to go back home. Additional Archons are coming up. MaxPax apparently has enough gas. Zealot run by on the right side of the map is gonna try and kill this 5th base again. Honestly, the amount of bases that both players have for the 19-minute mark, it's kind of embarrassing. Neither of them really has a whole lot. Yeah, Reynor is running out. Look, this is the first expansion he took, and that one is out. Main base is running very low. The natural expansion also actually in a world of trouble. Only 4 mineral fields remain over there. Zealots going to town, killing whatever they can. Although I think this is going to be the end for the Zealots, as well as that warp prison. Okay. The golden minerals will be attempted once more. Neural Parasite on the production tab here for Reynor. We only have 4 infestors, but I mean, these are very expensive Protoss units. Neuraling just 4 of them would be absolutely tremendous. And obviously you can always add on more infestors too. When the Protoss army gets down to this level, where they have only high tier units, it is of course, well, something that you have to respect. Mama Ship going all the way off on her own. At least there is a bit of backup, but okay. I was gonna say, moving towards the right side of the map to attempt a mass recall would be cool, but I don't think it'd be easily done. +2 shields coming up. I think it makes sense considering the Archon count. Yeah, we're at 8 Archons at this point. Obviously the other Protoss units also have shields. MaxPax has decided that he's going to park his army on top of the gold base. Yeah, the expensive units, they need to be protecting this golden mineral line because it is critical. Brute Lords right now do see this. Careful. Okay. Time Warp here, just to try and slow down this moving army. We have 6 Tempest in total, by the way. 6 Tempest should be enough to one-shot those Brutes. Okay. This fight over here is not that great, though, for the Zerg. Yeah, these units are gonna get popped. In the meantime, the Mama ship herself has been tasked with moving forward here. Okay. We do have a revelation right there on all of those Zerg units, so the Tempest can be used at their maximum range. Neural Parasite right now, feedbacks as well. Ultras trying their very best. Battery Overcharge does eventually get shut down. Reinforcing units for the Protoss do now show up. Corrosive Biles will get dodged right there by MaxPax. In the meantime, there's still one hero, ULTRALISK, going to town after that, well, fleet beacon. So no more Tempest production for a bit, but MaxPax was already producing Void Rays before this. Okay. I think if he can pick off all of these flying units, he should be okay. MaxPax, that is. Problem here for our Protoss is that there is a lot more reinforcements on the back of this. Reynor has had a bit more money in the bank for quite a while. But he just spent all of it. So it's 8 additional ULTRALISKs. The man has actually made a lot of Ultras. Yeah, we're going up to 30-ish Ultras in this game. More than that even. Huh. Void Ray trying to protect whatever we can. Man, this Wolof really should have been re-established. I think that Wolof should have been re-established, and that fight in the top left should have also gone in MaxPax's favor. Reynor is ready to go for another wave. This is honestly his final wave, though. He needs to almost win with this fight, or at least deal critical amounts of damage. He does have an awful lot of units. No battery overcharge in this area. No more spellcasting either for MaxPax. In the meantime, there's still units in the main base, and upon losing this battle, MaxPax decides to tap out, and Reynor gets a point on the board. Next up, we find ourselves on the map site Delta. Reynor decided to go for a 15 hatch on the low ground into 15 Overlord, 15 spawning pool. This is a standard 20 supply Nexus on the low ground with a 20 supply Cybernetics Core 2, with the Protoss player right now transitioning towards a Stargate. So basically as normal as it can be, other than the fact that like MaxPax has decided to skip the Worker Scout entirely. So this is the first time he will go across the map and see what's happening, but at this point he must know that it's already going to be a hatchery first, because he hasn't seen any aggression, right? If it would have been a pool first, Lynx would have already been seen on the other side of the map. Could have been something that Reynor exploited, but obviously the problem... Oh, getting the kill on that is nice. Doesn't get it. Oh, he does. The problem here for Reynor is that he needs to commit to a spawning pool before he can know that this is a scoutless opener for MaxPax, and so... It is a little bit of rock, paper, scissors sometimes. Maybe if you know what your opponent's tendencies are, but MaxPax, he's been firmly playing into that image of being a honorable macro Protoss. It's gonna be a Oracle into a Void Ray. That's a bit interesting. The Overlord is hanging out over here. I think MaxPax is hoping that maybe there's gonna be a second Overlord somewhere close to the side of the Protoss, but not the case. Second OV just hanging out in front here to see any sort of adepts coming in. Very quick lair here, though, by Reynor. So he's decided to skip Zergling speed and go straight into a lair with a slightly delayed third base as well. So is this something that MaxPax picks up on? He sees it now. Okay, that's a big scout. Twilight Council here on the back of this immediately. What exactly is the plan right here for Reynor? Last time we saw him play on this map, that was against Clem. Reynor decided to go for a very quick Spire. No, not what we have this time around. It's a very quick Hydralisk then. Interesting. So we go from a ULTRALISK rush to a Hydralisk rush? I feel both of them are questionable decisions, to say the least. But maybe it'll work. Could also be into Lurker play, I guess. But with Lurkers, I'm already expecting a Infestation Pit. No, it's just gonna be straight Hydras. Is this a Hydralisk timing attack? We really need to get some of the upgrades going, don't we? Isn't that like literally the most important thing with any Hydralisk opener? Because the Hydras are considered very mediocre units. Well, just in general, but especially when you don't have their upgrades. So I'm not sure exactly what we're doing, because the Hydra Den is not researching. This is kind of like that Scarlet strategy that we saw recently. It's a bit different, obviously, but that was against Terran specifically. Reynor was the one making fun of that build, but now he is the one playing, the unit that's considered to be amongst the very worst for the Zerg. So now the speed upgrade is coming up. So this is 7 Hydralisks on a little trip towards the other side of the map. I don't think we can really do too much. He's just droning right now and just adding on a few more of those bad boys. Okay. So how does this play out against Mass Blink Stalker? Because I'm inclined to imagine that unless you have the superior numbers, that the Stalkers will just absolutely overwhelm you. MaxPax right now taking it very, very slow though, not really moving around the map all too much. He doesn't really know exactly what's going on. There's the Hive, and there is the Lurker Den ultimately. Yeah, so this is just defensive Hydras. Skipping Roaches, skipping Lynx, skipping Banelings as well. I mean, we have Link speed done at this point, but against a more aggressive early game right here from MaxPax, imagine any sort of Glaive the Depth Opener, any sort of 2-base aggression. Reynor would have been flat dead. Like, there's no way he would have been able to do anything. So MaxPax's image may be playing against him a little bit too. He's an honorable macro Protoss, but sometimes that can work against you. And I think this may very well be Reynor exploiting that knowledge. The advantage right here that Reynor has is not so much in worker count, it's not really in economy, it's not really as far as supply goes in general, but it is in tech. So this is a pre-7-minute Hive that's finishing. We already have the Lurker Den done right now as well. Skirmish is apparently defendable. Colossus on the back of this immediately. Problem is that the Hive is already done, and Colossus' natural enemy would be the Viper. So Lurkers are going for their upgrades here. Reynor doesn't have a lot of gas though, so the transition here is a bit funky. I guess ranged Lurkers alone would be okay. I'm assuming he's gonna prioritize Lurkers and then go into a bunch of Vipers. Hydra Lurker Viper, bit of a classic, very powerful. One of the Stalkers ends up getting sniped there. Okay, Zerg going around the side, hoping that they're maybe going to be able to pick up some reinforcements. Not going to be the case, but the Zerglings and the Hydras, they are now fighting those Stalkers just straight up. Fourth Nexus is coming, but you can see that MaxPax, when the game is a little bit weird, because this is not something he will play against on the ladder very frequently. When the game is a little bit funky, suddenly his game plan does not seem to be as solid. There's the Lurkers coming up. Yeah. So Reynor is doing a proper tournament play here. This is not something you would do in a regular best of one. This is not something you would do in a ladder game. But this is an excellent play in a ladder, or sorry, not in a ladder match, in a tournament match. And that may be something where MaxPax is lacking. Yes, he plays a lot of smaller online cups, but a lot of those games can be considered, you know, 3 best of ones in a row. Reynor here is playing a proper high-level series. Cutting a bunch of corners, taking a bunch of chances after getting 1-0 ahead. Obviously, if this wouldn't have worked, no big deal, because we can still go to game number 3. But I think he's been able to get away with it. No overwhelming advantage here yet for Reynor, but I'm a little afraid for when those Lurkers go across the map, because there is just no counter at the moment here for MaxPax at all. As a matter of fact, does he realize that there is Hive already? Yeah, he has seen the Hive. Okay, so he must realize that it's a option at the very least, that Zerg will be going straight into Mass Lurker. But like, we have, yeah, 14 Lurkers done before charge. That's insane. Colossi and Stalkers are not gonna cut it. Here come the Lurkers. Just like we see in Terran versus Zerg, right? They're just gonna go to the Planetary Fortress. Albeit a Planetary Fortress that doesn't shoot back. Colossus gets countered by the units that it was supposed to counter. And I think Reynor is just gonna bypass this base altogether, yeah. Push over here on the right side of the map, at the very least, is going a little bit better for MaxPax, all things considered. He will be able to win this fight, but now suddenly the Lurkers have arrived at the intersection. Brilliant game right here by Reynor. Lovely play. You can't break this. MaxPax is not gonna break this. There's no way. GG. It's Reynor who obtains this series with a 2-0 win. And he ultimately breaks the curse of me only casting games where he loses. Well done.